I want to talk about death doors for a moment here. Death doors. Now, what's a death door? A death door is when you have an opportunity to leave this current life that you're in. It could be an accident, it could be a heart attack, it could be any of a manifold, a near-death experience. That's when a death's door becomes available to you, becomes open to you, and you have a choice on an unconscious level whether you want to go through or not. Sometimes if you've exhausted all your options and you're in a place where further growth seems limited for the rest of your life, you may choose a death's door that's obviously at a younger age, perhaps when you're young, or you're a child, or when you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you don't make it up to the old age of human existence in the 80s and 90s plus. That's because you've chosen a death door on an unconscious level. What happened with me was I had a couple of death doors back in the early 2010s, and I'll have to find out the exact dates if you want. But I had a couple of death doors where I was laying in bed. I was extremely stressed at work, and I was self-aware, but nowhere near as self-aware as I am now. Obviously, I've done a lot of work in the last decade. And I was lying in bed, and I felt this sensation of as if someone was dropping a huge rock on my chest, like a huge boulder, or a huge, like those weights at the gym, 10 or 20 maybe a 10 kilogram weight. 20 kilogram weight was just dropped on my chest and was pushing my chest in. And it was a heart attack. What I did in that moment, and I don't know whether it was some kind of, I don't know, but I had a choice. I had a choice that I could, and I realized it was pretty much it. This was it. And I remember looking over at my wife and thinking, I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to call an ambulance. I'm just so embarrassed with it. That was what I was thinking, the ridiculous things you think. And I was thinking about an ambulance pulling up into our driveway and all the neighbours wondering what's going on. And I just felt embarrassed. And in that moment, I didn't want to wake her. I didn't want to, get her involved. And probably if I'd woken her, it would have been a mistake because she would have panicked. So what I did in that moment was I just said, and obviously I was a strong Christian at the time. And this is not a Christian evangelical thing. I'm not a Christian now. I'm not a religious Christian now, but I do obviously have some beliefs in Jesus, but I'm not involved in the Protestant Catholic movement, which I was back then. And what happened in that moment was I just said, look, Jesus, I'm so sorry. I've let you down. I've let you down, and I'm so sorry. And I just kept saying that over and over again in my head. That's, the ridiculous, sometimes the things you say when you're just on death's door, and the death's door was right open there ready for me. And I think if I'd panicked or been afraid, that would have been it. I would have gone through that death's door, and that would have been the end of this life for me. And so I got through that, and I still went to work the next morning, some of the silly things you do. I didn't tell my wife about it. I don't think I told anyone about it. But then again, it happened a few days later. I'm not sure. Can't remember exactly. I can find out how many days. It happened a few days later or a few weeks later. Again, the same problems were existing in my life, same emotions, negative emotions, anger and stuff. It happened exactly the same thing. It's like as someone dropped a huge rock on my chest, a huge barbell weight on my chest. And I looked over at my wife and I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. And then I felt like I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to call the ambulance again. It was like another death's door was presented to me because I guess maybe because I hadn't changed. And I could have had a choice to go through that, but I did exactly the same thing. I guess I just said, Jesus, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, And I kept whispering that over and over and over again. I didn't wake anyone. And it stopped. It just out of nowhere, this huge heart attack, stroke stopped. And I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't tell my wife. I told my wife a few weeks ago. She was like, what? Really? When? Oh, gosh. But so I had an opportunity and I didn't go through that death's door. And so when I came back, obviously I had another chance at life. I think it wasn't much longer that a few months later that I quit that job. And just, always wanted to go into business. So I went into business in that. But really what I did start again, which is something I'd stopped for well over a decade, was the self-development path. And I started reading and studying everything I could asking questions, questioning everything, questioning my religion, questioning my personal growth. Looking for any chinks in my armor, any gaps in my wisdom or gaps in my knowledge, anything I needed to heal in myself. Looking at my emotions and my ways of thinking, my belief programs. And that was a long journey, a really long journey. And it brought me to where I am today. So I had the opportunity of the death's door. And for whatever reason, whether it be good, maybe the good I'd done in my past, in previous years, I've always kind of been a helpful person, help people for free, give away stuff, giving away cars, giving away Xboxes. I don't know why, but I had an opportunity to live again and not go through that death's door. And here I am. And here I am at a different place. So it's like, my point of this video is that death's door is an opportunity for growth. So when you don't go through a death's door, it means you've got some kind of good will from the universe. You've got some kind of disposition to change and grow. So when you don't go through, it's like you jump to another level of change, and you, instead of you go to another level of change. So I had to go through that level of change, questioned everything in my religion, questioned everything in myself, went through the process of healing, studied everything I could, did some courses, whatever it was. And even then, and I just kept going and advancing and improving. And I'd study a school of thought like NLP, or, that's one of the basic things you start with. And then I started questioning that and working through that. And then I moved beyond that, way beyond that. And now I'm like thousands of light years away from that kind of study. And I just studied anything I could in terms of self-healing, emotional healing, healing my belief programs. I'd always had these goals and dreams, but I realized that something was stopping me. And it happened even, 3 or 4 years ago, I qualified for the World Championships of something. And I was competing at the World Championships, and I'd use everything in my personal development knowledge up to then. I'd visualized, I'd, worked on my beliefs, done everything. I thought I'd got to a place where, I'm gonna steamroll through to winning this thing. I had that feeling in belief programs. I had that will, that strength of will, but there was obviously still work to do because something went wrong, something out of the blue, and I couldn't understand what went wrong. And I realized that I'd created this set of circumstances. So here again, I'd done it again. I'd pushed myself to achieving a great goal, and then through some self-sabotage, some emotional dysfunction, some whatever it was, I'd caused myself to self-sabotage. I'd created a set of circumstances that caused me to fail at what I wanted to achieve. So, for a few months I was annoyed and upset and blaming everybody, as you do. And then after that I decided, I'm going to pull right back in. I'm going to look at what it was in me that created this set of circumstances, and then I found out that I didn't believe I deserved to win. This is years later. I worked on letting go of all those emotions: anger, grief, rage, aggression, sadness, guilt, fear, releasing all those emotions. And arrived to where I am today. And it's an interesting place. So I would never have if I'd gone through that death's door when I'd had those death doors, when I'd had a couple of strokes, I wouldn't be where I am now. And if I hadn't failed, I'm going to talk more about this in other videos, if I hadn't failed at that really big, important goal, which I thought was so important to me, I wouldn't be where I am now. I'd probably be on another different path. So failure, and but this video is about death doors. So death doors, this is why I cannot emphasize more the importance of doing good, saying good, planting good seeds in your life, knowing that they'll boomerang back to you. Doing good, saying good, giving away stuff. I don't know, something I did good, and I kind of always had that intention to help others, help the underdogs, help those who are struggling, and it kind of, and it meant me losing in a lot of situations. It meant that I would lose and others would win, and others would get the advantage, and I'd give stuff away. But you know what? It was all worth it because of where I am now, and I'm so happy where I am right now because I got through those death doors. I stayed alive. I went to another level of growth and another level of growth, and that exponentially led me to where I am right now. Okay, so so my point is, it's important to get involved in the self-development path. It's important to heal yourself, your emotions, heal your belief programs. You're not destined to be part of the old small town or small suburb, small city hierarchy programming that society gives to you. You are meant to be something bigger and better. And if you decide to do my programs, I can show you how to do that. I can fast track, through obviously years and years and years of study and hours spent, and I guess self-isolation. I was isolating myself before coronavirus because I was so focused on self-development and working out what was wrong with me. Why did I act the way I did? And I had to look at my emotions, my parents, my childhood, my growing up, all throughout my life, all my belief programs that I've been indoctrinated with. And I got to choose what I wanted to believe, and I got to heal what I wanted to heal. And paradoxically, I became more of a Christian, or more of a spiritual person. I'm more open-minded now than I was when I was a deeply religious, fanatic. And I don't know if you can identify with that at all, but I've tremendously changed. But I can fast-track that for you through my programs. If you want to check out positiveemotionalhealing.com, maybe something if you've got the money, if you've got the means, something you can pay for me to guide you for faster, or you can just go start the journey yourself. And I'm encouraging you to start the journey yourself and spend the next years on it intensely, and you will get out the other side, and it will be a great benefit for you. But it's something you've got to really place a high priority of value on. And if you're listening to this video and you can identify with some of my story and something in my voice or something in what your intuition picks up about me, if that aligns with you, then it's probably a possibility that we could work together moving forward. And I do encourage you to reach out to me, and we can just have some discussions about if we're a right match. But this is Roger McDonald from positiveemotionalhealing.com. Please check out my Facebook page, Positive Emotional Healing. Have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed this video on Death's Door. Thank you.